A billionaire started a journey to experience life at the bottom, wandering the streets with only 15 yuan. Before he set out, he was full of confidence, believing he was handsome, socially skilled, and would be able to escape the situation in just a few days. But to his surprise, he was crushed by reality on the very first day of being homeless.
百零蚊食餐飯可能嗰部餸係即係其實原來要賺百零蚊係。
The man's name is Li Mingjie, a genuine second-generation rich from Hong Kong. After returning from his studies in the United Kingdom, he relied on his outstanding business mind to quickly earn a huge fortune in the technology industry. He even owned several tech companies, becoming a young and successful billionaire. His business thrived, and Li Mingjie lived a luxurious lifestyle. He loved visiting all kinds of high-end luxury venues, driving fancy cars, wearing designer watches, playing golf and sailing yachts. This was his simple and unpretentious life. From his schooling to his entrepreneurship, his life had always been smooth, comfortable, and without any waves. It was often at such times that people began to feel bored and restless. Therefore, Li Mingjie joined a reality show, hoping to experience the life of a homeless person. As a social elite, he was always extremely confident in himself. Before setting out, he vowed that even at the bottom of society, he would find many ways to escape the situation quickly. He even said the reason poor people are poor is because they are lazy and unmotivated. As long as they were willing to work harder, they wouldn't end up on the streets. Using this opportunity, Li Mingjie was determined to prove that his belief was correct. Before the homeless experience began, the production team took away all the cash and communication devices on him, leaving him only 15 yuan to survive the next 5 days. When his carefully prepared backpack was taken away, Li Mingjie panicked a little. He didn't expect the show to be so realistic. Aside from the clothes on him and the 15 yuan, nothing else was left. This filled him with strong insecurity and anxiety. His first night sleeping outdoors was near the Hong Kong Cultural Hotel, where many homeless people often joked that they slept outside the most expensive hotel in Hong Kong every day. At the beginning, Li Mingjie wanted to find a place to sleep for the night, but after switching several spots, he still felt uncomfortable.
嗰度有冷氣，即係喺啲門罅度攝出嚟咧，唔怪之呢度涼啲。我琴晚先喺度飲完嘢。
Until 3 a.m., Li Mingjie still couldn't endure sleeping on the street. In order to have money later to sleep indoors with a roof over his head, he decided to take action immediately and start looking for a job.
你哋請唔請人㗎仲？請唔請人㗎你哋？
The result was obvious. Who would look for a job in the middle of the night? As soon as Li Mingjie opened his mouth, he was treated like a crazy person and driven away, which made him feel embarrassed. Looking for a job in the middle of the night was absolutely impossible. He wandered on the roadside for a while, and finally picked up 2 pieces of cardboard, then found a place with no people, intending to barely get through the night there. Being used to comfortable mattresses, he tossed and turned through the entire first night, unable to fall asleep. At this moment, his biggest wish was to find a job the next day and sleep in a warm bed. However, he would never have imagined what kind of despair he was about to face in the coming days. Would you believe it? This man, using his shoe as a pillow while sleeping under a footbridge, was actually a real billionaire from Hong Kong. The simple and unpretentious life of a rich person had made him feel bored and empty, and in search of excitement, he decided to experience the life of a homeless man. His ideal scenario was to rely on his eloquence and knowledge, start from nothing, and climb back to the top again. Unfortunately, imagination is always beautiful, but reality is brutally honest. On the very first night, he slept under a footbridge. After waking up, Li Mingjie hurried to Kowloon Park, because there he could fulfill his 3 basic needs: drinking water, using the bathroom, and taking a shower. There, he also met many people in the same situation.
而家見到喂點啊？係啊！哇！沖完涼真係舒服晒。
After a simple wash-up, Li Mingjie couldn't bear to spend the only 15 yuan he had on breakfast, so he immediately began looking for a job again. However, this process was extremely difficult for him. He was rejected by more than a dozen stores in a row. As a social elite, he felt deeply frustrated. Finally, one store agreed to hire him. Although it was only a delivery job paying 25 yuan per hour, he still gratefully accepted it. Having finally gotten a job opportunity, Li Mingjie cherished it very much, and he worked extremely hard. For 5 consecutive hours, he kept delivering food without daring to slack off at all. However, just when it was lunchtime, the boss fired him. Li Mingjie said he had never worked so hard before, and he was touched by his own effort. But why did the boss fire him? He felt confused. Facing the camera, Li Mingjie cried with grievance.
百零蚊食餐飯，可能嗰部風係，即係其實原來要賺百零蚊係。
Facing the cruel reality, this billionaire, who used to give tips of thousands, had never imagined that without his original identity, earning just 100 yuan would be so difficult. Li Mingjie said that every minute and every second now felt extremely hard to endure. He used to believe that the reason poor people were poor was simply because they didn't work hard enough. Now he finally realized how ridiculous his thoughts had been. He felt that if he had to live in such an environment for a long time, his ideals and ambition would be gradually worn down as well, and he would eventually become the very kind of person he used to look down on.
其實就有得食就食，有得瞓就瞓。咁即係我唔知呢個形容算唔算貼切，但係唔係好過咯。
On the second day, after a full day of hard work, Li Mingjie earned another little more than 100 yuan. At night, carrying the broken cardboard he used for sleeping, he went to an underground parking garage. Having not rested for 24 hours, he planned to finally get a good night's sleep there. But when he saw someone folding newspapers, Li Mingjie went up again, hoping to get another temporary job. However, the person rejected him decisively. Fortunately, Li Mingjie was articulate and persuasive. In the end, he convinced the person and got another job before sleeping. Yet after working hard for half a day, the payment he received was pitifully low.
10蚊，多謝你俾我嘅經驗。
Although the person treated him like a fool, Li Mingjie didn't mind. Instead, he took it as a lesson. But when he turned around, he discovered that the cardboard he used as a bed had disappeared. At that moment, Li Mingjie was filled with despair. After working hard for a whole day, not only had he been fooled, but now even the cardboard he needed to sleep on had been stolen. Realizing the harsh reality, he decided that tomorrow he would no longer tolerate it. He planned to use his identity and ask his friend to arrange a good job for him. But when he called his friend and told him that he was currently homeless and wanted to find a job at his friend's shop, the answer made Li Mingjie clearly see the coldness of human nature. A billionaire pretended to be bankrupt and became a homeless man, and when he went to his former friend's shop to look for a job, the friend didn't even bother to care.
我而家邊度住你啊？而家咪揸住呢啲嘢，周圍瞓住先啦。爭快啲啊！飛機我試下啦，我講多兩句英文嘅。
In the end, after repeated begging from Li Mingjie, his friend reluctantly agreed to let him try. However, in reality, the position Li Mingjie wanted to apply for was neither a company manager nor a high-paying job, but a simple cha-chon tongue waiter. Seeing how down and out he looked, his friend not only showed little interest but also made things difficult for him in many ways, telling him to first find a pair of long pants and then come to the shop the next day for training. At night, Li Mingjie found a few more pieces of discarded cardboard and decided to continue sleeping outdoors for another night.
feel 到啲腳毛俾啲風吹咁樣啦，咁啊所以捐埋佢，咁啊有啲失縮街角嘅味道咯。
In the middle of the night, he was awakened by the cold, so he went back to his friend's cha-chon tongue, deciding to get familiar with the work environment for the next day. Early the next morning, with only a pair of shorts on, Li Mingjie walked onto the street, wanting to buy a pair of long pants. But since the shops weren't open so early, he had no choice but to run around looking for someone to borrow a pair from. Fortunately, a kind person eventually gave him a pair of long pants. Compared to other jobs, the work at the cha-chon tongue was relatively tough. Having not slept well for several nights, Li Mingjie felt exhausted while working, but he also felt satisfied, because the job was relatively stable and he could eat delicious food.
咁啊整咗個蛋口字，食落去係鬆快入口，直接到位。
On the 4th night of the homeless challenge, Li Mingjie no longer wanted to sleep on the streets. He wanted to stay in a room with a ceiling and lie on a comfortable bed. But after checking out a rental room, he gave up on the idea, because the rent was still too expensive for him. With no other choice, Li Mingjie had to sleep on the streets again.
之後咧，發覺要背脊最難頂，所以咧啤酒嗰啲紙皮箱就啱啱好。
On the final day of the experience, he decided not to work anymore and wanted to treat himself with the money he had earned over the past few days. He first went to a breakfast shop and enjoyed a good meal, then went to a market to buy a cheap set of clothes, since he hadn't changed clothes for 4 days and his entire body felt sticky. After that, he used his remaining money to go to a swimming pool and let himself fully relax. On the last night, Li Mingjie didn't sleep on cardboard again. Although he was still sleeping outdoors, this time, he slept on a mat he bought from a wholesale market. The 5 days of homeless life ended here. But the next morning, as soon as Li Mingjie woke up, he sighed.
唔使再咁樣咯，係想我都幾受夠嘅其實。
This young billionaire had once enjoyed smooth success in the business world. He originally intended to prove his uniqueness through this homeless experience, but when faced with reality, he felt a deep sense of helplessness. It turned out that poor people never wanted to live a bitter life forever. It's just that once someone is trapped at the bottom of society, truly escaping hardship is not as easy as one imagines. And what they have even more of is helplessness toward life.
In the end, Li Mingjie finally understood a truth that many people may never see in their entire lives. Poverty is never caused by laziness, but by countless unseen struggles that make it nearly impossible for someone to rise again. Just 5 days of being homeless shattered his confidence, stripped away his pride, and caused all of his arrogant beliefs to collapse completely. From sleeping on cardboard to begging for a job, he finally realized one thing. Escaping the bottom is not something that can be achieved by working a little harder, but by enduring each day with grit just to survive. Perhaps the meaning of this journey was never to prove how capable he was, but to teach him to respect every ordinary person who is desperately struggling through life. So I want to ask you one question. If fate pushed you down to the very bottom of society, could you really climb your way out? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section. I truly look forward to hearing your voice. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.